All right, so section 6.7, solving basic radical equations. Okay, so the only thing you guys have to know in order to be able to do this lesson well is that you have to get rid of a square root. Okay, that's the main thing, getting rid of a square root. And we talked about that before I started recording. The way you want to get rid of square roots is by squaring both sides of an equation. All right, so the only notes you really need to know for this is the following. Okay, so in order to remove a square root, you must square it. Okay, that's the only thing you really need to do, is just square it. So, in other words, the square root of 5 squared is 5. Okay, the square root of 3 minus t squared is 3 minus t. Okay, that's it. That's the hard part of this lesson, is getting rid of that square root. But it's not hard to do. It's just square. Okay, just square. So let me show you. As usual, we'll go with the even numbers because I can always work my way to the right if I need to. 8 is equal to the square root of 4p. Now, if I want to solve this, I am going to square both sides. So notice, square there, square there. What is the left side equal to? What's 8 squared? Anybody have it? 64. And what's the square root of 4p squared? Let me zoom out just so you can see. It's just 4p. So what do I have to do to solve for p? Yeah, just divide by 4. So I get 16 equals to p, and there you go. So notice it looks like a complicated process at first, but once you get rid of that square root, it just becomes a basic algebraic expression, or equation, sorry. Okay, so let's look at this next one. It looks a little bit more complicated, right? Now there's more things inside the square root. But all you have to do is square both sides. Okay, so you just got to square both sides. And when you do that, what comes out on the left side? What should I write? 9a plus 10. And on the right side, what we just saw, 8 squared was 64, right? So now start solving for a. So we're going to subtract 10 on both sides. I get 54 is equal to 9a. Let me just kind of move this over here. 9a equals 54. So I'm going to divide by 9. So a must be 6. Okay? I mean, this is it. This is what you're doing, right? So let's look at number 6. Let me have you guys work on this on your own. Okay, I'm going to give you about a minute. So let me show you guys the solution. This is what it should look like. You would have gotten 10 equal to radical 20n and squared both sides. Okay, in squaring both sides, 10 squared becomes 100, and the square root of 20n squared becomes 20n. You'll divide by 20 on both sides. 100 divided by 20 is 5. So your answer would have been 5. Okay, again, solving these problems is not hard once you get rid of the square root, right? Eliminate the square root, it becomes an algebraic, like from algebra 1, from math 1. It becomes that type of problem. It's a multi-step equation. I don't think there should be anything you guys are too worried about doing. Now, we get to questions like number 8. Okay, now you see a big old expression on both sides, right? square root on one side, square root on the other. So now it looks like it might be a lot more complicated, but in reality, it's not. Okay, it is not more complicated. We're going to do what we've always done, which is square both sides. Bless you. Okay, so we're just squaring both sides. In squaring both sides, both of the square roots will disappear. So what's left on the left side is 4 minus 2n. And what's left on the right side is 1 minus 5n. Okay? Now start combining your like terms. So I noticed I have a negative 2n and a negative 5n on the other side. I usually like to move the smaller of the two. So negative 5n. I'm going to add that to both sides. So that gives me 4 plus 3n equals 1. And then I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. So I end up with 3n equals to negative 3. Okay, divide by 3. So n equals negative 1. Are we okay with this? Anybody like not getting this or a little confused with it? All right, so I think we got one more. Yeah, that's it. So one more. Here we go. This one looks a little different. Negative 5 square root of r over 10 equals negative 15. Now we're not changing what we're doing, okay? We're not changing what we're doing in a sense of squaring both sides. But if you guys notice, there's this negative 5 out here. I can divide by it first just to make the numbers a little bit easier, okay? So if I divide both sides by negative 5, I'm going to get the square root of r over 10 equals to, okay, yeah, it's going to be 3. Thank you. And now I do what I've been doing all this time, which is just squaring both sides. All right, so square and square. So the square root of r over 10 quantity squared is just r over 10. And 3 squared is 9. What do I do to both sides to solve for r? All right, multiply 10 times 9, so r is equal to 90. And there's your answer. This is what your homework is like, guys.